Now, I'm never usually one to complain, but after a dull diet of repmobiles, driving these things around all day, you really want to get something with a little bit more spice, something radical in its design. And that's why we've come to seek out Fresher Pastures, a gourmet menu of one of the world's most beautiful cars. Well, this is Hever Castle near Edenbridge in Kent, where I've come to have my motoring appetite whetted. And on the gourmet menu is the brand new Audi A6. Hever Castle is a mock Tudor castle with a lovely village where we're staying tonight. The Audi is the epitome of modern engineering. Audi's designers really have come up with an absolutely stunning car. The curved sweeping lines are just fantastic, very reminiscent of the Audi TT prototype that we saw a couple of years back. The interior is very well appointed too, high spec. Let's take a look at it. Now, the inside of the Audi A6 is very impressive. It doesn't have the ambience of, say, a Jaguar, but it reeks of quality. The only maybe downside about the A6 getting into this car is it may be a little dull, perhaps needs lightening up, but you could do that if you have the optional leather upholstery. You can select the choice of hides and colours. You can even select from 3 different wood trims, and the standard specification on the Audi A6 is very impressive. You get climate control, automatic climate control. You will be able to sit back in luxury with air conditioning whirring away. The stereo system is a quality system which you don't get on some other German cars, so perhaps BMW and Mercedes are going to follow suit on that very soon. And there are nice little touches like a cup holder in the front for the driver and a centre armrest. Audi engineers worked with mathematical simulation in order to achieve the rigidity, weight and crash properties of the body of the new Audi A6. And they've also used aluminium for the engine hood, door frames and parts of the running gear. Despite being lighter overall, the new body is 50% more rigid than the previous version, and the driver benefits from better ride comfort. However, if you're looking for a thrilling drive, well, you really won't get it unless you ask for the sport suspension option, which at around £300 is probably well worth paying for. Now with me now is Len Hunt, who's director of Audi UK. Len, you've introduced this gorgeous new A6. What made you bring it in at this stage of the cycle up against the new BMWs, the new Mercedes E-Class?
Well, I think since 1994, when we saw the first A6, which was the first car to carry the new A-series nomenclature, we've been progressively launching cars. We saw the A8 and the A4, then the A3 last year, and now we've been building up for this executive sector attack, really, to take on that car, the BMW 5 Series principally, and the Mercedes E-Class. So it really is an important car for Audi. Well, I think one of the comments that we saw around the introduction of the 5 Series BMW and the E-Class Mercedes was very much the evolutionary styling that the cars took. And with the Audi A6, we see more of an innovative approach, more a step change in the styling, certainly on the exterior and particularly on the interior. And we're seeing sort of design features from the concept car we launched in Frankfurt, which is the TT, the Audi TT. And so we're seeing a design stretch. And I think for people looking to be more sort of innovative, more modern, you can see a sort of far-reaching stretch design.
The new Audi A6 was first unveiled at the Geneva Motor Show in March to fanfares and Wagnerian fantasy characters. Its radical styling, reminiscent of the Audi TT, heralds the next generation for Audi. Audi UK expect to sell around 4,000 A6 saloons in its first full year, which will give it a 2% share of the market, double the share Audi had in 1994. The new A6 saloon gains additional standard specification over the outgoing saloon. This includes electronic differential lock, EDL, traction control, which was previously only standard on the Quattro model, electronic climate control, electric seat height adjustment, radio wave remote control central locking, and a host of other standard specifications. But surprisingly for an executive car, automatic gearbox is an option on all models.
Well, I think automatic transmission is a view that with the Tiptronic can be taken as an option. It tends to be taken that way, that people in this market, particularly in the UK, do like to have a manual as an option, or now the Tiptronic automatic, which has dynamic shift program as well. So it really is to try and give maximum choice.
Well, initial driving impressions of the new Audi A6 are very good. We're driving the 2.4, which is the V6, 165 brake horsepower, and this is equipped on this model with the automatic transmission, which includes the Tiptronic mode, which allows you to shift up and down the gears with the manual selector. That's very impressive. One thing that's annoying so far is that the central control system that is in the middle of the dashboard, which allows you to see which gear you're in, is very difficult to see on a bright sunny day like this. I've got my sunglasses on, it's sunny outside, it's very difficult to see which gear I'm in on the control system because you can't seem to adjust the brightness of the control system, so that's annoying. Also, when you're in automatic mode normally, it does tend to hunt up and down the gears a little bit, and there's a bit of jerkiness there as you try and put your foot down and it kicks up a gear. But cruising at 70 miles an hour on a motorway dual carriageway, it's quiet, it's refined. Impressions so far are good. The newly developed electronic climate control now responds to the position of the sun. The system has separate temperature controls for the driver and passenger, and new sensors not only measure the temperature at selected points, but also take into account the surrounding area. A solar sensor now measures the intensity and angle of the sun's rays. Attention to detail, or what? Now, when manufacturers design a new executive car, the driver inevitably always comes first. The rear passengers sometimes get a rough deal. The cabins can be very cramped in the back. But the new Audi A6 has a remarkably spacious cabin. It has class-leading knee and leg room in the rear. It has a light, airy cabin. Now, I'm 6 foot and there's plenty of space for me in the back. The seats are perhaps a little firm, but I think you'd mould your body into it quite well. Nice little touches in the rear, these two cup holders. There's a centre armrest. There's a third three-way seatbelt as well. Little reading lamps, and this nice little touch as well, an executive Audi designed coat hanger. There's a good choice of engines on the new A6. There's the familiar 1.8 litre turbo engine, which is a 5-valve model. There's also the all-new 2.4 litre V6 made specifically for the A6, and this, the 2.8 litre V6, available in either a two-wheel drive or the very familiar Quattro four-wheel drive. And coming soon we'll see the familiar 1.9 turbo diesel engine. In overall length, the new A6 is similar to the old model, but its basic styling has enabled the proportions to change. Body overhang has been reduced by 57mm at the front and 17mm at the rear, and the wheelbase has been increased by 73mm. The body's aerodynamic shape has put the high point of the curve at a more central point than before, allowing for more interior room. Knee room for the rear seat passengers has been increased by 62mm. Headroom is greater by 28mm at the front and 20mm at the rear. Now, you don't do a test drive with a tape measure, of course, but the overall feel is one of space and airiness, and it almost makes the BMW 5 Series seem cramped in comparison. I'm in the top-of-the-range Audi A6. This is the 2.8 Quattro, and with me, David Ingram, Product Marketing Manager. David, you were closely involved in the way that the whole A6 was put together. Tell us more about your role in that.
Well, it started off as a role for assisting the engineers to develop the right things for right-hand drive vehicles to ensure that, for example, the windscreen wipers went the right way. It might sound funny, but it wasn't always the case many years ago. And to ensure the appropriate positioning for the pedal layout, the footrest for the clutch foot, and the positioning of the seat, steering wheel and pedal relationship. But I think also beyond that, the UK market is very emotionally based, and the engineers value the input from what they see as a very important market, in fact their most important export market.
Now, on some of the cars you can have the automatic gearbox with the Tiptronic. What about on some cars, the Porsche 911s have the shift up and down on the steering wheel? Is that going to come on the new A6?
Yes, very much so. We hope to be able to offer that within about 12 months, also with radio controls on the steering wheel, again for more and more convenience, but we want to make sure that the positioning of the buttons is exactly right so that they don't get in the way of normal day-to-day driving. The outgoing A6 was developed quite some time ago, and a lot of developments have taken place since then. I think the most noticeable thing about the car, as you say, apart from the design, is how much more refined the car is. The engines are much smoother. A lot of engine technology with 5 valves per cylinder makes the car more efficient, makes the engine more efficient, but also quieter and smoother. The car itself is much quieter in terms of road noise, wind noise, and the contrast between the driving experience of this car and its predecessor is really quite noticeable.
Now, there are lots of important safety features on the new Audi A6, which of course you'd expect on an executive car costing between £20,000 and £30,000. You get airbags for both the driver and passenger, you get 5th generation ABS, and you get ASR, which is an electronic traction control. Now, unfortunately, it's a beautiful, dry, sunny day today. We can't try it out, but presumably on wet roads, it means the car is very stable, there's no wheel spin. Even Audi have provided us with the nice weather today.
A whole host of features which really are designed to give a very safe feel to the driver's sort of driving. I mean, what we don't want to do is confuse him with all sorts of things he has to do, so we tend to just put them there. And really we don't want him worrying about electronic diff lock or anti-slip control or ABS, but just want him to be confident that in the back of his mind, should he get into a situation where they're needed, they just happen automatically.
I mean, most people, when they try and look through the handbook and try and work out what that is and what that is and what it does, I mean, are probably going to be completely confused.
Absolutely. I think we just need to make sure that they know it's there and it's working in their interest and enjoying, improving their enjoyment of the driving.
So, all in all, this brand new Audi A6 is a very classy executive car. You'd be happy to pull up in the company car park in this. The prices are very competitive. This car is £1,000 cheaper than the rival BMW. Specification is very high as well. So if you want a car that's well built, reliable, solid, and it's made in Germany, try out the BMW, try out the Mercedes, but don't forget the new Audi A6.